We've talked in the past about Firefox wanting to push out a .deb package, particularly for the Ubuntu-based distributions, which are otherwise forcing snaps. Well, in the latest release of Firefox 1.22, they went ahead and did that. And we're going to be testing this process out on Ubuntu. So let's go ahead and see first what their release notes say, and then we'll get into the actual process. So thanks for checking out this video. Again, we're going to get back into the Ubuntu and the snap argument a little bit. Now, some people really like snaps, and they do have some form of good purpose, but there are a number of people that say, I do not want snaps forced on me. And for those people, Firefox was the first package that you would go into Ubuntu, type sudo apt install Firefox, and you would expect to install Firefox from some form of deb package in the repository maintainers system. But instead, what would it do? It would install snap, and then it would install the snap version of Firefox. Other packages have subsequently come down, and this is what caused Linux Mint to take the stance to say, we do not want the snap process forced on people because not everybody wants it, and the distribution method is proprietary. So Linux Mint reacted by blocking snap and initially creating a package which just basically said, yeah, you can't get Firefox because Ubuntu sucks, which was the wrong answer. They have subsequently released their own version of Firefox, going back and producing the version of Firefox effectively that Mozilla would do, packaging it for Linux Mint. And so with that respect, it's hard to say, are they going to keep doing that in the future, or are they going to borrow the one that they have? In my opinion, they're probably going to keep doing what they have been doing, because they do modify it slightly. They'll change some search engines. They'll change your default landing pages. And there are some things that Firefox does out of the box that some people in the privacy world do not necessarily like. And it's hard to tell if Linux Mint is going to take a harder stance on those or softer. I'm thinking about telemetry data is usually opt-out. We're talking about the experiments, which is opt-out. We're talking about Pocket, which sucks, but oh well. I don't think anybody's going to have anything to say about that. Enable it if you want it, disable it if you don't want it, whatever. But as far as Ubuntu is concerned, some people are saying, I really kind of want a Firefox. It's not the slow snap version. And so Firefox has come out and said, well, we're going to go ahead and package our own deb package and give you the ability in Ubuntu to override the forced snap garbage and go back to the way you want to install software. So they have an article here out just yesterday from when I'm recording this, 4 reasons to try Mozilla's new Firefox Linux package for Ubuntu and Debian derivatives. So basically goes into what we had already mentioned. Firefox was available. You could get it as a snap. You could get it as a Flatpak. They had the regular tarballs that you could download and manually install. They had all of that available. They have Android. They have, every way you can sideload or install Firefox, they have made available. This is the first official release that we have a .deb package specifically. Now, there is not a .deb file to download and use with a GUI package manager that I could find. It might exist, but I have not been able to find it. But they do provide a good set of instructions for installing it, which involves removing the snap version of Firefox. It's going to involve importing the Mozilla key. It's going to involve adding Mozilla to your apt repository sources and then setting the Mozilla repository at a higher level than a higher priority than Ubuntu's, so that you get the deb version of Firefox instead of the snap version of Firefox. We're going to walk through those steps in the video here. So it is 100% built by Mozilla. That is what has an advantage and a disadvantage. As I said, Linux Mint likes to package its own version, and most distributions do make some code tweak modifications. So I don't know exactly how many distributions are going to adopt this instead of maintaining it themselves. Some of the distributions wanting to reduce some load and don't care about the default settings may very well just put the Firefox Deb repository into their Ubuntu or Debian-based distributions and just look with that. Of course, if you're on Debian, this is a good way that you can always have the absolute latest without running the ESR versions. And they do say it has better performance, which is going to depend on the other software that you have, because we're not doing the snap package. It's going to generally perform better, but it also is going to be now dependent on the particular dependencies your system has, which may or may not be the better ones. That's going to be up to you. They do say faster updates here. So with your faster updates, that of course you're going to get the latest versions as soon as they drop. I personally am not a huge fan of that. I have seen too much regression lately in a lot of software on updates. But for those that do want that, if you're in a hardened security environment and you want the absolute latest features are pushing out, you now have that option, which is great. And so, hey, they're giving us more options, but nothing is forced upon us. So from here, we're going to go over to Ubuntu, and we're going to see how this works, and then we'll come up and wrap up the video. First thing, of course, anytime we're doing any type of software manipulation or things, make sure your system is up to date. So I went ahead and pushed all of our system updates and rebooted the system before we got started here. So you can see here that we're in Ubuntu, and we ran the update, and it tells us here all packages are up to date. So if you go over to the Firefox page and you hit the download Firefox button, it says, oh, you already have it. Of course, because we're obviously on Firefox. But if you hit just the download, it's going to take you over here. These guys here, the 32 and 64-bit package, are the tarballs. If you hit the download on the tarballs, then you're just going to have to install it the good old-fashioned way. If you do the apt repository instead for Debian, Ubuntu, or any Debian-based distributions, that's going to take you to this page, which is installing Firefox on Linux. They have installed from your distribution manager. Of course, the reason they did this is because some people don't want snaps forced on them. We have installed from Flatpak, installed from Snap, and then they just added this line here for installing the Deb package for Debian-based distributions. And of course, everything here is applicable. If you want to save your bookmarks, you have to have either export those beforehand or use that Firefox sync stuff, whatever else you really want to do. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to walk through what these steps are going to do. And then I went ahead and saved all these steps because the first step is to remove the original browser. So I saved all the steps here so that we can refer back to that as we are going through the process here. So the first one is we need to create the repository keys if they do not already exist. So those are probably already there, but let's go ahead and double check. So let's do cd etc apt. Oops, of course I need to do cd etc apt, not staff, whatever I just did. All right. And here's your key rings. So let's look into the key rings file there. And so there's really nothing in there, but this is the first one here is just going to be creating the directory here, or installing the key rings. And then we're going to import the key rings into this area. So you can see that what we're going to do here is we're going to use wget. So if you don't already have wget installed, we can use it over here. Chances are we already have wget installed. So let's just go ahead and just double check that. So it is already installed, and I was pretty sure that is the case. Then we're going to import the keyring and then make sure that the fingerprint matches. And then here is where we're going to add the repository. This is going to create an entry inside of the keyrings. And this is a newer format that is being used now, much more secure than the older format. And then this here, we're going to prioritize Mozilla packages, because if you don't do this step, then you do your final step, it's just going to reinstall the Snap version. There are, if you are using different languages, they do have some information on here on your languages. So just be aware of that. If English is not the one you are using, you're going to want to do that. And then, of course, for migration, here's setting up migration information like that. So the other thing we're going to do is just to show you where we're starting at. Here is our Firefox version. You can see right here, this is the Firefox Snap for Ubuntu. So the first step we're going to do is we're going to remove this. So let's do I believe it's just snap remove Firefox, I believe is what we're going to do. I think that is the thing. Okay, so it is now removing that. All right, so let's go ahead and, oh, I should have just pushed the text editor button. New features and there we are. That way we have all of our instructions over here and we have all of our terminal keys over here. You can see it's disconnecting Firefox from all sorts of weird stuff. You can see all sorts of weird dendrical connections that Firefox is making here. And it's saving the data of it. I wish I could tell it to not do that. I don't care. There you go. It is now removed. So now what we're going to do is let's just go ahead and walk through everything. Now, just a reminder, this is sourced all from Mozilla, and so it is going to be safe to use, but it is advisable to not go through and just paste stuff in that you find on the internet, especially with that sudo command in front of it, just because that could be shady if you do not know what you're doing, or if somebody is doing something bad like rmrf or no preserve root, ha ha ha, do this, it'll fix all of your system's problems, and then it completely wipes your system. Since this is from Mozilla, I am very confident that our codes are correct and everything is good, so we're good. So what I actually did here, just if you haven't noticed, everything that gets pasted in the terminal, I put the dashes above, and I just kind of left the instructions in there. So it's nice and simple. So this step here, we're going to be importing the signing key, and this is going to verify that whatever we are doing is going to match our keys. So now we are going to go ahead and test our fingerprint there and making sure that this lines up with this. And so you can see very quick inspection. It's good. If you were like super duper high risk, you might want to copy these two into a calc document and compare them just to make absolute certain. So that is good. Now we are going to add the Mozilla apt repository to the sources list. All right, and now we're going to prioritize that package. And that is now prioritized. So let's just do a sudo apt update. This will kind of tell us. So we're going to look here to see, okay, so you can see right here, it's pulling these guys here from Mozilla. So that's there. I'm not sure why it's not showing up in that additional software sources. It should have been, but maybe we need to reboot the system for that to happen, or maybe after the update it'll happen. I don't know. Just as long as you're running your apt update and you see these lines here, these are telling us that it's pulling in a software line from the Mozilla source, whereas everything else here is from Ubuntu. Okay, so now we're going to do our last one, which is going to be install. You don't have to do apt-get, just apt is fine. So sudo apt install Firefox. And yes, we're going to confirm that. We're going to download the version of Firefox, which, hey, 67 megabytes is a whole lot better than whatever the Snap version was. And it looks like I'm on a slow internet connection, so I'm just going to go ahead and let this go, and we'll cut the download part out of the video. Finished downloading. It is installing. Let's see. We have a downgrading Firefox from Snap to 122 build. So we actually got a warning. We downgraded to Firefox. How wonderful. I call it an upgrade if we get rid of that. So let's go ahead and pull up Firefox. And can we still drag that onto the panel or not? Yes, we can indeed. Make sure we have our Firefox back on our panel. There we are. And so now, here we are. Now we're not going to skip this step there. Dude, skip this crappy step too. Leave me alone. Dude, where's the button that says skip all this crap and let me have Firefox? Jesus. Apparently didn't get me back. All right. But anyway, we have a brand new version. I know for all of the stuff I say about it, I actually really do like Firefox. It is my favorite browser. See that now we're using the Mozilla Deb version 122, so we are no longer running the Snap version. Following their guide gave us our latest version of Firefox, and everything there looks great. So there you have it. Now you have Firefox available. You can grab the instructions. Just hit that installing on Linux apt guide, and that's going to walk you through it. And I will leave a link to that in the description of this video. All right, so there you have it. We have the ability to install Firefox on Ubuntu and other Debian and Ubuntu derived distributions to get around the snap package nonsense and install Firefox directly from the Deb repositories from their own prepackaged system. This is good because it gives us a lot more options and gives us, for those that want the latest Firefox as soon as it comes out, you're not dependent on your distribution to roll out that change. Instead, you can grab it from Mozilla. I like this approach, and it'd be really neat if more software packages, more of your bigger software packages would do this rather than just default putting out the flat packs or things like that, which have had some positives and have also had some negatives. So there's your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. Hit that like button and leave us a comment, which helps the algorithm. With that, thank you for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.